Good evening, Trevor. How you doing? Oh, I got you on mute. Hold on. There you go. Now I can hear you.
There we go. How you doing? I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Had a great day. Lots of content. Lots of learning. Lots of talking. So we're excited that you could join us tonight. Hope you had a productive day so far.
It's been very productive, and I got to give you and Dan a shout out. I mean, you guys are crushing it. I know it's a lot of content, a lot of people, but it's been phenomenal. Huge props to you guys.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate that. It can't be done without you, people like yourself and everybody that's helping share content. And that's one thing that I think has been consistent throughout the day is the back and forth of, we want to provide content, and in providing content, we get content. And that's the best way to get what you want is to give what other people need. That's a good motto. I think that's a Zig Ziglar paraphrase, I think, if you go back to that.
Well, it's Zig's, it's Tony's. I mean, Tony Robbins, my mentor, my coach. I mean, I got an opportunity to work with Tony for the last half decade. And, he says that the secret to living is giving. And boy, we're giving and receiving and giving, receiving. And we're not done yet. I mean, the weekend's been phenomenal. And again, I can't say enough about it. It's been great for me and great for everybody watching.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to get you introduced. And this is I wanted to kind of show behind the scenes here because, we're in Columbia, South Carolina. And, we like to share knowledge and have people come in and check us out. And so we've got a special guest here. Say hi, Dakari.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
Doing good. How about yourself?
So Dakari helped with the Golden Nugget session that Dan did last night. And Dakari is a student at USC. And he's in the real estate. He's been on Joe Fairless's podcast and wanted to stop by. He comes by almost every day, checks out what's going on here, and adds some commentary and helps us out behind the scenes too.
I saw him last night. I saw him on the Golden Nuggets with Dan, and absolutely, I think he kicked it off and delivered some good stuff. And I think he also said he's fairly young. So, I got to give him a shout out. I mean, can you imagine what life is going to be like for him knowing this stuff at his age? I mean, huge props to you, bro. That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it is very important to learn this stuff right now. Well, Trevor, we want to give you as much time as possible, so I'm going to give our attendees just a little bit of an introduction to you, and then I'm going to let you share your screen and go into your presentation, and I'll track the questions, and we'll touch base with those towards the end of the session. But everyone, good evening, and we're welcoming Trevor McGregor from Trevor McGregor International. Trevor is a master platinum coach with over 20,000 hours of coaching experience. Pretty impressive. Working with Fortune 500 executives, high-level real estate investors, entrepreneurs, world-class athletes, and professionals. Prior to launching his own coaching practice, he was a master coach with the Anthony Robbins Group, Tony Robbins. And Trevor is an active real estate investor with holdings in his portfolio from Vancouver to Costa Rica. So, Trevor, thank you for being with us again, and we'll let you go ahead and share with us what you have prepared.
Awesome. Well, thanks for the great intro, Brandon. And yes, I've got a PowerPoint. I'll just share my screen here, and we can get after it. And I'm just excited to be here. So, thank you to you, and thank you for Dan, allowing me to come in and get the party started, or I guess at the midway point. But can you see my screen, Brandon? Everything good there? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it well.
Excellent. I just want to make sure. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You're in for a treat tonight, as I'm here to talk about the 7 simple steps for real estate success. And again, as Brandon said, you know what? You're either going to do it the hard way or you're going to do it the easy way by really, tuning in and watching all the presenters, watching all the speakers, watching all the panelists, because again, success leaves clues. And ultimately, Joe kicked it off yesterday. Joe Fairless, who I'm fairly, fascinated with, as I've had a unique opportunity to watch a guy like that, as I'm Joe's coach, and I've been watching him for 6 full years. In fact, we're just into our 7th year together. Joe signed up for another year. I've watched guys like, Dan Hanford, your partner, Danny Randazzo. There's a whole host of people here that I actually coach in real estate and in life, because again, if you're here and you want to get to here, there's a new way of thinking and behaving that can help you get there a lot faster. So what I wanted to share were the 7 simple steps that I've been able to really, acknowledge after doing over 20,000 coaching calls. Yes, 20,000 coaching calls with real estate investors all over the world. I want to share, some things you don't want to do. I want to share some things you do want to do. Some of them are mindset, some of them are strategy, and, let's just, dive right in so we can get after it. So really, the very first thing I'm going to say today is, today you're going to learn the 7-step success formula to get what I call the competitive edge so you can scale your business. And I mean, who doesn't want the competitive edge in today's business, right? So I want to just start off by saying this is for real estate investors who are absolutely committed. I mean, you guys aren't dabbling anymore. You're absolutely committed, and you've actually got a defiant commitment to going out there and, buying real estate because you know what the ripple effect is. I mean, it changes lives. Not only will it change your life, but it'll change the lives of the tenants who might not be able to afford a place to live, change the lives of the property managers, change the lives of, the electricians, the plumbers. So the ripple effect or the spin of what you do is massive. And when you're defiantly committed to your outcome, trust me, there's more than just you or your family that is going to reap the benefits of that. So that's number 1. Number 2, you got to be decisive. I mean, in this business, you're either deciding to stay stuck in your excuses and limitations, or you're deciding to move forward and have anything that will help you get from where you are to where you want to be. So ask yourself right off the bat, how committed am I? How decisive am I? And then I feel that you got to be coachable. I think that you've got to listen to podcasts like Dan's. I've been on Tougher Decisions. It's a phenomenal resource. Or somebody like Joe Fairless, or a ton of different people on the panels here have podcasts, because again, not everybody resonates with everyone else. Some people like to learn things this way. Some people like to learn things that way. But you got to be coachable and open to receive and then apply the information. And then ultimately, yes, you have to be resourceful, because here's the truth. It's never a matter of resources. The resources are here, but it's a matter of resourcefulness and putting them into play. So if you're someone who is committed, decisive, coachable, and resourceful, then I think you're going to love this presentation. And this is not for anyone who isn't those 4 things. So if you're not those 4 things, go over to another channel and do something else, because, I only work with the committed. There's something else that, people ask me all the time. What's it like being Joe's coach? What's it like to see a guy go from owning 4 single-family homes in Texas to now controlling arguably $500 million worth of real estate? Mighty impressive, and I've had a front row seat to it. So one thing that I want to share with everybody is really, what's the number 1 thing that's made Joe Fairless successful? Again, I'm going to say this over and over throughout the presentation, Brandon, that success leaves clues. And I'm going to reveal some of the things that have allowed Joe to absolutely optimize and maximize the entire journey that he's been on, so that he can absolutely, continue to grow his portfolio. And again, while we're on the topic of Joe, I've coached Joe since 2013. I mean, go back 6 full years now. And this was before the Best Ever podcast. This was before he wrote his first 2 books, let alone his 3rd book, which is absolutely smashing sales over at Amazon. I mean, if you guys don't have Joe's book, I highly recommend you pick up a copy, because it's a great resource. And then ultimately, Joe's put on a few different meetups, but more, I guess, high level are the conferences he puts on in Denver every February. And I've been blessed and grateful to be a sponsor of that, and obviously a keynote speaker at the event. And we've got one coming up in Denver next month. That's February of 2019. So if anybody that isn't registered for that can get to that, I highly recommend it. So again, I've had this unique opportunity to watch him, to step in as his coach, and every week find out, where he's at, what's working, what's not working. And again, it goes back to his mindset, and it goes back to what is he doing strategically? What are all the things he's focused on? What are the things he's not focused on that he should be focused on? And I'm proud to say that I've been a part of his journey, as well as many other people. Again, I've coached 20,000 people, and ultimately I'd have to be an idiot at this stage not to see, what you shouldn't do and what you should do. So the other thing that I point out is I've seen Joe in the good times, but guess what? I've also seen him hit a few speed bumps. And let me just ask the audience, I mean, how many of you have had speed bumps, in the real estate game, and all hands should go up? Mine certainly does. I've been investing in real estate for 25 years, and you'll hear more about that in a minute. But I think that where I come in as a coach is I'm able to help people optimize the good times and then, get out of their head, when they hit those bumps or they hit those roadblocks or obstacles. So again, it's a really unique position that I've been in, and I absolutely love working with them. And, people always ask me, how did you meet Joe? And I met Joe as I, worked with Tony Robbins. And if you're a Tony Robbins fan, you know that Tony is not just a life coach, but Tony is a business strategist. And when I was working with Tony, I had the pleasure of working with him for over half a decade as one of his top master platinum coaches. So ultimately, that's where I met Joe Fairless. And for those of you that don't know, Joe's a big believer in the mindset piece, in business strategy. So ultimately, with Joe, and while I was with Tony, Joe knew that I was in one of the top 1% of Tony's coaches on the planet. I am a Master Platinum certified coach under the ICF. That's the International Coaching Federation. I've done over 20,000 coaching sessions, as I mentioned, and I've coached millionaires and billionaires. So it doesn't matter, what level you're starting out at. There's always a place that you want to go from where you are to where you want to be. And maybe when you get to this level, then you want to go to this level, and then you want to go to this level. So again, I've got a unique privilege of coaching people at Fortune 500 companies. I have clients right now at Microsoft, at American Express, at Dell, at Oracle, JP Morgan, Blackstone, like some big companies. But to be quite honest, Brandon, my passion is coaching real estate investors, because I believe that they're the ones that are truly going to make America great again. Think about it. You're entrepreneurs that can go out there and decide to execute on buying a property where, again, the massive ripple effect is in play. You're going to, obviously get the economy moving by, putting some money into it, which involves banks, it involves lenders, it involves insurance agents, it involves landscapers, plumbers, electricians, roofers, property managers, the list goes on and on. And so what I do is I help people navigate working within all of that and expanding. And I help people currently in all countries that you see on the screen there. I coach in the US, Canada, Europe, Asia, even as far away as Australia. And my clients currently own over $1 billion worth of real estate, and that's an actual statistic. And I don't say that to beat on my chest. I'm saying that if guys like Joe, guys like Danny Randazzo, guys like, Andrew Campbell, guys like, I don't know, there's a ton of them, but even some of the ladies like Julie Lamb, who's part of this, wonderful weekend, Holly Williams. These ladies are powerhouses as well. So it doesn't matter who you are, where you are, what you want to do. There's a new way of thinking and behaving that can get you to be a part of that $1 billion club. And like I said, Dan has picked some of those clients to present this weekend, and I just want to give all of them a super shout out from me, because I've been watching intently, and what I'm seeing come out of them is just, heartwarming. So with that said, I'm also an active real estate investor. So I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. And I've been actively investing in real estate for over 25 years and have done millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of deals. And people are always curious, well, what do you do, Trevor? Well, I'm currently developing an ocean view property in my home in Vancouver, Canada. I own condos, townhomes, duplexes, and fourplexes. That's how I got my start in real estate. I own some apartments in Dallas, Fort Worth, some self-storage units in Key West, Florida. I'm proud to be a co-owner of a luxury eco resort and retreat center in Costa Rica. And I'm currently also developing land down in Costa Rica, where I'm putting up very beautiful, architecturally designed Airbnb casitas. And what's really cool about this is we're going absolutely to the future with these by building them with what are called structurally integrated insulated panels, SIP panels, and we're putting some of the latest solar technology on the roof. So this isn't something that's going to look like a grass hut. This is going to be a property that is architecturally designed, beautiful inside, and ultimately people are going to Costa Rica in droves for retreats, to get away, for the opportunity to live a different lifestyle or vacation there. So I'm pretty excited about that. So with that said, let's talk about you. Let's talk about what you're going to learn today. Because I'm going to share with you the 6 most commonly heard statements that keep investors like you from exploding your real estate portfolio. And guess what? It's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of BS. We're going to absolutely give you the gift of letting go of anything that doesn't serve you today. I'm also going to share with you the 7-step success formula that will help you scale, just like Joe did as a real estate investor. And I'm going to help you to transform your thinking and get what I call the competitive edge in real estate. Because think about it in terms of sports. You know, what makes a sports team a historic sports team? Do you think it's all, ability? Do you think it's muscle? Do you think that they design the best plays possible? Or do you think that their coaches, their trainers, their mentors, have a little bit of psychology involved in there? Well, I'll guarantee that it's psychology. In fact, if you go back to the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl just 2 short years ago, at the half, they were down a ton of points. I know when Lady Gaga came out in the halftime show to sing, it wasn't pretty. And, they went into the dressing room and with their coach and their leader, their quarterback, they literally designed a beautiful speech that rallied the troops and got them going. They came out in the second half, and you guys know what happened. History was made. Well, what if that was what you needed? What if you feel strong with your strategy, but you're missing some of the psychology? What if that was the secret sauce to bringing both of them together that allowed you to scale to where you want to be? And by the end of my presentation, we're going to give you some clues on how to do that. So again, you know what? I love this, that, success is defined as 80% psychology, that's how you think, and 20% mechanics, which is how you act. And this comes from a master himself, Tony Robbins. He says, and as he works with people like, he worked with a ton of different presidents of countries, professional athletes, business owners, you name it, Tony doesn't know how to do things better than they do. I'll give you an example. He's been coaching Serena Williams in tennis for years. Tony doesn't know how to hit a tennis ball better. And I'm the same thing with Joe Fairless. I don't know how to buy an apartment building better than Joe, but what I do know is psychology. So I kind of leave the mechanics up to the experts so that I can give them the strategic mental toughness to go out there and master what it is they're looking to do. So again, think about it. Are you all strategy and no psychology? Because if you are, again, you're going to get a lot out of the presentation. And as we go through everything that I'm about to share, I want you to ask yourself and catch yourself if you hear yourself saying, Trevor, I already know that. Because saying, I already know that is a softener that might not allow you to access some of the deeper distinctions of what I'm about to share. And instead, ask yourself, am I applying what Trevor's talking about in my real estate business? Because the application of information is what's important. If it was just information alone, everyone, would have $500 million worth of real estate. So again, you want to ask, am I applying it in my business? And really, I just pulled out, what I'm hearing on the phones all day, every day. And these are the 6 most common things that I'm hearing in the real estate world today. So let's just check in and see if these sound familiar to you. It's tough to find great deals. Does that come out of your mouth this week, this month, this year? Or was that, something that literally was, pervasive for you in the last half of 2018? Check in with that with yourself. How about this one? All the good deals are gone. Does that come out of your mouth recently? I know that it's coming out of a lot of investors' mouths. Or how about this one? It's hard to find money, or it's hard to find investors. So again, I'm going to help you with that in just a minute, but let's keep this going. This is a big one. It's way more competitive than ever before. Again, I'm hearing this from a lot of people, and that's why they come to me, because they know that if that's their thought, that's not going to help them go out there and make it happen. Here's an interesting one. It's tougher to get brokers to bring me deals, and the brokers are giving them to other real estate investors. Again, if that's coming out of your mouth, or if that's what you're even thinking, subconsciously, not a good place for you to be. And last but not least, at least in these examples, is, well, what if the market crashes like in 2008? Now that's a big one because nobody wants to get run over like people did in 2008. So what do you do if these occupy, the frontal lobe of your mind all day? What if you find yourself, thinking these things in the shower? What if you find yourself having a conversation with your real estate partners or your meetup groups or your significant other? Does these type of questions help you or hinder you? And I'm here to tell you they actually hinder you. They may be real, but it doesn't matter. What are you going to do about it? And we always say that you got to stand guard at the door of your mind because all of those statements are a bunch of BS. And Brandon, we all know what BS stands for, right? Well, I've got a new opportunity to share with you that BS actually is an opportunity for you to check in with your belief systems. Yes, your belief systems, because if those 6 things are what you believe, we're in big trouble. So what I want to do now is do a little exercise with you and for you. And that is to talk about something that I call your belief table. Your belief table. So I want everyone to picture a kitchen table or a dining room table, and that the top of the table represents your thoughts and your beliefs. So get a picture of that. The tabletop represents your thoughts or your beliefs. And that table is usually held up by 4 legs that support that table. And we're going to call those references to the beliefs. And I'm going to take you through an exercise here in a minute that really speak to those, 6 negative beliefs that might be, holding up your table. So for this exercise, we're going to have 6 legs on your table. So what if we go over here and the belief table, that you're working from is it's hard to find deals. Or this leg over here is all the good deals are gone. Or the brokers are awarding the deals to other people. Or it's hard to find investors. And then we go over here, what if the market crashes? And I think you guys get the picture here. Well, if you get up on Monday morning next week and you work from on top of that belief table, and I want you to picture you putting your desk on top of the table. Now put your chair up there. Now put your phone up there and maybe your favorite beverage, whether that's coffee or a green smoothie or a bottle of water, I don't care. But if you make your calls from the top of that belief table on Monday morning, how successful are you going to be in finding great deals, great investors, great opportunities? Because again, guys, consciously and subconsciously, if that's your level of thinking, I'm telling you, those weak table legs are going to do what we call getting your table to fall down. And you're not going to scale your business to 7, 8, or even 9 figures if you have a poor belief table. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to invite you to do is to get out a saw and imagine yourself cutting off every single one of those legs to your belief table that don't serve you. You want to use a sharp saw and you want to ask yourself, which beliefs do I need to get rid of right now? Because we're going to replace them in a minute. So again, I want everyone to think about what's a belief that's not serving you right now? What's something you heard a broker that has permeated your mind that doesn't support you right now? What's something that you heard from a property manager, a bank, an insurance agent, your financial planner? Because again, that's their belief table. I want you to own your belief table. And that's why I said you got to stand guard at the door of your mind. Does that make sense? So if that resonates with you, cut off those weak legs and let's keep this going. Because what I want you to do is now replace those poor, wobbly, weak, thin legs with what I call pillars of support. And you'll see on the screen here, I've got a couple of really thick, beautiful pillars. These are either in Greece or over in Italy that have been holding up buildings for literally thousands of years. And if they're able to hold up buildings for thousands of years, imagine that you're taking a section of those and you're shoving it under each corner of those 6 places underneath your belief table. And those 6 new pillars of support are beliefs that literally lift you up to getting out there on Monday morning and making calls. So let's go through it now because, guys, it's really the polar opposite. We'll go back to that screen where it's tough to find great deals. Well, we've ripped that table leg off, and now we put a big pillar of support under there that says, even though it might be tough to find deals, I know there are deals out there, and that becomes your belief. Does that make sense? Let's go to the second one. Now we go to this part of the table, and we shove a new pillar under there because we've cut off all the good deals are gone, and we remind ourselves that there's always good deals to be had. There's never been a time in any market, in any place, where there weren't deals to be found. And I'll give you some examples. Right now, in every area of the United States alone, and we'll just talk about the US because it's easy, some apartment owner is being diagnosed with cancer. Today, somewhere in the US, somebody has just got news that their significant other has been in a car accident. Somewhere else, somebody is sick and tired of dealing with tenants that don't respect the property. Somewhere else, somebody is dealing with a boiler or dealing with, a maintenance issue that has literally put them over their threshold, and they go, I am done. I want out of this. And believe it or not, a lot of those people are baby boomers. A lot of those baby boomers are getting ready to say, you know what, I've had a good run. I've made some money, time to take some of this money off the table. So those people that are having a life-altering event happening to them today are absolutely available for you to then go in and make a great deal and pick up an amazing piece of property. You can either, add value to it. You can do whatever you want to it. But guys, this is how real estate is optimized and maximized. So let's go over to the third one, because now we're in the middle of the table where you've ripped off that table leg that it's hard to find money or get investors, and you have to replace that with a big, thick pillar that says, you know what, even if it's hard, it's not, my model of the world. It's not something I'm going to believe, and I'm going to keep going out there and getting in front of enough people so that I know it's going to be a numbers game. And I'm going to give you guys a really cool analogy that I want you to remember for the rest of your life when it comes to, raising money. And it's called the card flipping analogy. And I want you to pretend that you have a deck of cards. And how many cards are there in a deck of cards? Well, we know there's 52. But what if I told you that you get paid, or that is you find an investor every time you flip over an ace? We know there's 4 aces in a deck of 52 cards. But are you going to be the guy that goes out there and flips over the cards? And are you going to be the guy that gets mad if you flip over a 7? Are you going to be mad if you flip over a 3? Are you going to be mad if you flip over a 4? Because guys, we know that there are 4 aces in that deck. So you just have to become a professional card flipper. And you're not asking people for money. You're giving people a unique opportunity to invest in a piece of real estate where they can optimize and maximize the returns. It's really very simple. It's a numbers game. It's a confidence game. And you've really got to ask with certainty. You've got to ask with clarity. And you've got to ask with confidence, because if you guys do this and you get really good at it, guess what? Gets even better. Not only do you get paid on flipping over aces, but now you're really good and you start getting paid on kings. And if you're really good like Joe Fairless, you start getting paid on aces, kings, queens, jacks, and tens. I mean, the amount of money we're raising, for Joe and his partner Frank, in literally 1 or 2 days would absolutely knock most people over. So if you've got a belief that it's hard to find money, again, I urge you to cut off that table leg and put a thick pillar of support in there that supports your outcome. So let's go back to, it's way more competitive than it ever was before. Yes, it is definitely competitive out there. I don't stick my head in the sand and go, no, it's not, no, it's not, no, it's not. That's not real. That's not what kind of coach I am. I'm here to say that the cream rises to the top, and that even though it is competitive, you have a unique opportunity to rise above everyone that thinks it's competitive and go out there and keep on keeping on. Napoleon Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich. And that has literally been my Bible. I mean, I started reading that thing when I was in my 20s, along with Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and all the classics. But he's absolutely spot on that if you have a white hot goal, to go out there and find deals, and you stay committed and you take extreme ownership on that goal, the universe will start to bring opportunities to you. And that's not airy-fairy or woo-woo. That's the truth. So even though it's competitive, you got to ask yourself, who are you? And then how are you showing up to go beyond that BS, that belief system, and change it? So now we put a nice big pillar in there. Let's go to this end of the table. It's tougher to get brokers to bring me deals. Well, is that really true? Or is that your mindset? Because if that's your mindset, well, that's going to be your reality. So what are you going to do about it? How can you go out there and cultivate better relationships with your brokers, better relationships with your insurance agents, better relationships with your property managers? What other bird dogs are available to you? I mean, man, when I was buying real estate, I'd talk to the postman, the milkman. I'd talk to people walking their dogs. It wasn't just brokers, although brokers are the number one way, one of the number one ways to go out there and find opportunity. But don't let a poor table leg take you out of the mix. Let's shove a big, thick pillar of support in there, shall we? And then the last one, what if the market crashes like it did in '08? Well, what if it does? If you take my belief and you buy for cash flow and you buy for a longer term and you do some of the things that Dan does or Brandon does or Danny Randazzo does, Joe Fairless, Jason Yarusi, like a lot of the people that are out there doing this stuff, you can protect yourself against a crash. And so when everyone else is freaking out, you don't have to do the freak out. We call it avoiding the freak out. And we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know. We can listen to all the panelists in this beautiful summit and get their interpretation of what things look like, where interest rates are, what's going on with cap rates, what's going on with everything. But again, I want you to define what this crash, if it is going to be a crash, is for you, but not make it like Chicken Little, the sky is falling. So folks, those are things that I feel you've got to purge. I call it the positive purge, where you get rid of any belief that isn't serving you and into a belief that does. And, I'd also ask you, check in with yourself in other areas of your life. I mean, if you had a belief table right now, about your health, where would it be? What legs are holding up your current body, your current mind? How about a belief table for your relationships with your team, your property manager, your significant other, your kids, your parents, your community? Have you got rickety table legs or have you got some real support there? Because I want you to have that support, because this is available to you in your career, your finances, your relationships, your health, your fulfillment. I mean, make it what you want, but it's a very powerful thing that, you've got opportunity to go and improve. So with that said, let's step into what I call the 7-step success formula, because guys, this is universal. I don't care if you are a real estate investor in the US, and right now I have clients in over 36 states. I'm just about to sign up a client in a state where it's a new state for me. So I'll have 37 representations, of what's going on in the US. But again, I've also got clients over in the UK. I've got clients in Italy. I've got clients in Hong Kong. I've got clients in New Zealand, Australia. And what I'm about to share is universal. Doesn't matter if you're a newbie. Doesn't matter if you're an intermediate. Doesn't matter if you're an expert. These are all things that I want you to check in with. And as we go through them one by one, I want you to give yourself a gift. I want you to get out a pen and rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 right now. And when I go through these 7 things, I don't want them to be about where you were in 2018. I want to know where are you today. Because 2018 is over and done with, and I want you to focus on the present, because here's how the human brain works. The brain works in past references, present references, and future references. And I want you to check in with the past, but not let it define you. Because again, the past is exactly that. That would be like driving a vehicle looking in the rear view mirror. You guys do that, you're going to crash. Instead, come to the present. That's looking out at this big, bright, beautiful windshield. All of the grass and the trees and the birds and the blue sky is in front of you. And if you keep moving in the present, you start to step into the best part of the future. And it will all make sense as I get going here. So let's kick it off. And the very first thing that I'm going to talk about is, owning your mindset daily. So what does that really, really mean? Well, the reason why I've made it the first success formula piece is because, it's absolutely everything. Where focus goes, energy flows. And it's true. So you've got to check in with what you're doing for your mindset today. And I applaud all of you. A lot of you are, signing up for the summit. A lot of you are delivering incredible content in this summit. But what are you going to do come Sunday when it's over? Is this going to be the end? Or are you going to go back and take advantage of Dan and the recordings that he makes available? Are you going to watch them one time? Or are you going to absolutely, feel one of the presenters and go back and watch that video 3, 4, 5, 6 times? I know I have, because repetition is the mother of skill. So in addition to that, what are you doing to learn and grow? Are you doing things that are empowering and you get, fueled by them? Or are you doing things that, don't resonate you, that are disempowering? I'll give you a simple example. Some people love to read books. And guess what? Some people hate reading books. They fall asleep reading books. But are you then picking up the audio version of that book? You see, we make excuses for things, and you know what? We have to take extreme ownership and responsibility to move forward with something that works for us. And then note that I said daily, because again, daily routines, habits, and rituals are things that allow you to compound. So if you come to this summit and you make a commitment to yourself, or you do a 30-day challenge where you're going to watch one video from the summit every day for 30 days, can you imagine the compound effect available to you at that point? I mean, it's staggering. What if we compound that with listening to some great podcasts from Dan, or listening to Joe, or listening to some of the other rock stars that are, part of this weekend that you get introduced to? What if you pick up Joe's new book? What if you pick up some of the other amazing books that are out there? What if you sign up for one of the other coaches' programs, or maybe my program? What could you do over the next 30, 60, 90 days that when you look at the compound effect to it, you're going to absolutely take your knowledge, your wisdom, and the application of it to new heights? And again, as a master platinum coach, that's what I do for business owners, real estate investors, and that's how I run my own real estate business. So I want you to stop right now, and on a scale of 1 to 10, rate where you're at with your daily mindset routines, habits, and rituals. And make it, the first number that comes to you is the number I want you to write down. If you're at a 2, you might want to do something different tomorrow morning. If you're at a 5, that's good, but what's preventing you from going to a 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10? Because there's always another level. And I don't believe anybody's a 10, even though I get up at 4:30 every morning, 7 days a week, and I start by conditioning my mind, watching, YouTube clips, Tony Robbins. I'll go to Zig Ziglar, Jim Rohn, like a lot of the, the old school stuff out there first, and then I'll dive into some real estate content. I'll listen to Scott Bauer's podcast. The guy's absolutely phenomenal. I'll listen to Todd Dexheimer. I'll listen to Jason Yarusi. Tune in to Dan. Tune in to Joe, obviously. But what are you listening to? And are you listening actively or listening passively? Because there's a big difference. Again, I want you to rate where you're at. And guys, don't make the numbers good or bad. Don't make the numbers right or wrong. But what I want you to do is use them as a tool for awareness, because awareness is the key to everything. I'm aware that my mindset ritual is blank. And in order to make, the next 30 days even better, I commit to moving from a 5 to a 7. Or maybe if you're at a 3, you commit to moving from a 3 to a 6 or a 7. But there's always room for improvement if you're defiantly committed to improving. And if you're one of those people that says, well, I just don't have time, we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's keep going here. Second one is to know your outcomes. Again, what do you really want? What do you really want? I mean, is it committed to paper? Or is it just stored in your head? Because if it's in your head, you're dead. The minute that you get it out of your head and on paper, it becomes real and it becomes actionable. And you got to know what it looks like. You got to know why you want it. You got to know what the timeline looks like. And then we can help you reverse engineer, how to go get it. It's not that hard. I mean, guys, come on, let's be real. There's nothing really new about real estate. People have been buying land or bartering for land or in war over land for thousands of years. So if you think there's something that you need and you're not sure where to get it, it's just not true. All of the resources that you need to grow your portfolio are available right now. So you got to know what you want, why you want it, and who you need to be to go after it. And let me assure you that clarity is power. So if you say, well, I want to buy real estate in 2019, well, the universe has got no clue what that is. You might play Monopoly and buy a few houses or hotels. That's not what we're talking about. It's definitively, I want to add 500 units to my portfolio by December 31st, 2019. I want to fire my current property manager and hire a new one by March 1st of 2019. I want to double my investor group from 50 to 100 by June 30th, 2019. And remember, once that is tabled and it's down on paper, now you ask yourself, all right, who do I need to be and how do I need to show up to, execute on that? And we'll talk about execution in just a minute. But guys, make sure your goals for 2019 are solid. We call that goal setting. Everything beyond that is what we call a vision, because we don't know where the market's going to be in 2020. We don't know where interest rates are going to be in 2020. We can have an idea of what we want to do in 2020, but let's focus on the 2019 and ramp up so that when we get to December 31st of this year, we're at a totally new place than where we are today. And it's available to all of you. Does that make sense? So you know the drill here. Rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 right now with where you're at in defining your outcomes for the calendar year of 2019. And for some of you keeners that want to really chunk that down, into what am I doing the next 30 days, the next 60 days, the next 90 days. Maybe you want to tackle your 6-month goals. That's fine too. So ultimately, as long as you're doing something like that, you're going to benefit from it. So let's go to the next one. And this is a big one, guys. And again, this is universal. And that is really all about your systems. So what are systems? Well, again, systems are something that allow you to maximize what your goals are. And that system is something that helps you rinse and repeat something so that you don't have to stop and rework everything all the time. So let me ask you, are there tried and true systems in place? Do you have team members helping you create these systems? Are you improving these systems? Do they work like clockwork for you? Whether that is, visiting sites, talking to property managers, having go-to people to fix things when they break down, having rules and regulations, having a crisis management, binder available should something unthinkable happen, So you really want to start by going through what do we have in place that once it's done, and then we can use that system again to optimize and maximize our results. Because I see a lot of real estate investors flying around by the seat of their pants. And a lot of things that I help people with is getting crystal clear on what's not working and then defining what we need to do to make sure it's working for the long term. And again, when you've got systems like reporting, how accurate are they? Do you know what your current occupancies, your rent rolls? Do you know who's delinquent on payments? How often is that being reported and is it accurate? What about your P&L statements? What about your accounts receivable? What about your accounts payable? If you guys aren't thinking about the business side of it, you're really missing out on keeping more of the money that you're making. And we all know that a hole in a boat is not a good hole to have. Same thing with your communication. Do you have definitive communication periods with your property manager? Do you know when your next newsletter is going out? Do you know how many podcasts you're going to be featured on this month? Because we always want to make sure that the system is what's helping you go further faster. So again, I strongly urge you to sit down and write right now on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at with systems? Are your systems implemented but then they don't get used? Are your systems implemented but broke? Or have you just not defined anything? Because I feel that it's a unique opportunity for you to use that along with the other keys to success to really take your business to 7, 8, or 9 figures like many of my clients do. So if you're enjoying this, let's keep going, because I got a few more things that I want you to really, really, check in with yourself on. And that one is networks. I mean, I often say to my clients, what business are you in? In fact, Tony Robbins says this at Business Mastery. He literally pulls people out of the stage and he goes, okay, tell me what business you're in. And people like us might say, well, I'm a real estate investor. Well, that's what you do, but what business are you really in? Because guys, at the end of the day, you're all in the relationship business. And you knew I was going to say it. The quality of your portfolio growing like this is directly proportionate to your network. Your network of brokers, your network of investors, your network of property managers, your network of real estate, professionals, your network of appraisers, your network of plumbers, electricians, roofers, landscapers. I could go on and on, but let's keep it in the context of, finding great deals. When's the last time you went to a kick-ass meetup? When's the last time you hosted a meetup? When's the last time you offered to speak at a meetup? When's the last time that you put yourself out there in being what I call a micro celebrity? That is where you go to a meetup or a conference and you add so much value to other people that they go, holy cow, who is this person? I want to meet her. I want to meet him. Because ultimately, that's what we're here to do, is to expand our network. So let's ask, are you consistently meeting with the people that are part of your network? Are you waiting for them to call you, or are you reaching out to give them value? And when I say value, it can't just be with a getting energy. I'll say that again. If you're only phoning people to get something, that's not how this world works. You have to add value to their lives. How can I help you? How can I support you? Is there anything that you need? That could be a conversation, that could be money, that could be time, that could be a referral. But this whole world works on, supporting each other. It's called contribution. So are you contributing with and for your network? And are you getting something in return? Or do you need to have a system or a plan to go out there and meet even more people? Because ultimately, if you're not meeting new people on this journey, guys, you're missing the boat. It always must grow. It's like a plant. Let me ask you, if a plant isn't growing, ultimately what's happening to it? We know it's dying. And we don't want to die as investors. We don't even want to survive as investors. We want to thrive. And one of the ways to do that is to find some great people to surround yourself with. That's why I strongly urge you to network within this multifamily investor summit. There are some of the brilliantest minds, most brilliant minds in real estate in this tribe of like-minded people. And I need you to get out of your comfort zone to go and introduce yourself to one of them. Go and ask one of them a question, even if you're not at their level. You know what? I think what's really cool about what Dan has assembled here is we're all in it for the same thing. We all want to grow our portfolios. We want to make some money. We want to have a certain lifestyle. We want to get more time freedom. And we want to be able to do, be, and have anything we want on this planet. The fastest way for you to getting there is to absolutely take your networking to the next level. So you know the drill, guys. Let's check in. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you doing with your network? Or is there something you need to do come Monday morning where you create another 30-day challenge and you make sure that you are, making phone calls, sending emails, sending some text messages, creating some meetings or some coffees or dinners with people that you meant to do that last year, but between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it got busy, because we all get busy. But guess what? Busy is bullshit. If you're defiantly committed to raising, your business to 7, 8, 9 figures, you've got to really, really own this category. So let's move on. There's a few more goodies in here for all of us. And the next one is, you guessed it, you see it right here on the screen, time management. Let me just ask you this question. Do you own time, or does time own you? Are you somebody who struggles with time? Or are you even aware of where you're spending your time? Because guys, we've got something called the rule of 168. That is, we all have 168 hours in a week. Now, we sleep for a bunch of those hours, we eat, we take care of the house, we take care of the kids, we pay the bills. But what are you doing with the rest of the time? And are you doing the high impact, high income work? because I'm here to ask you and challenge you that there's probably a new level for you to go to. So ultimately, what I thought I'd share here with Dan and with Brandon is a little bit of my secret sauce, where I'm going to give you guys a gift today and show you what I call the productivity pyramid. And the productivity pyramid is one of the most simple ways for you to really sit down and understand what you're doing with your time. And this is my gift to you today, because once a real estate investor learns this, you can't unlearn it. You can't go back. So please draw this out at home, make this part of your learning this weekend. And if you're watching this video after the summit, you'll want to absolutely put this on a Post-it note and put it up in your office where you can see it daily. Because there's 4 levels to what you're doing with your time. So whatever's left over for real estate investing in that rule of 168, I guarantee you're going to find on these 4, spaces. And the very first space that we talk about is what we call low or no value. That is where you're doing things that, don't really give you a return on your time, right? And it could be personal or professional. So something that goes in here might be, watching TV. How's that going to help you build your real estate portfolio? Maybe you're surfing the net mindlessly. Maybe you're surfing Facebook. Maybe you're going to Staples to pick up ink for the printer because you got to, do some real estate contracts. I get that. But get your wife to do that. Get your kids to do that. Get your husband to do that. Get your nanny to do that. Time is money. And you've got to ask yourself, and we'll do this collectively after I've done this, but how much time are you spending in low or no value every single week? Because what I want you to do is go above that. Let's go up the pyramid. And the next thing that I talk about is what we call low dollar value. Now, let's get some clarity here, because low dollar value is where you're doing things that get you ready to make money. Maybe you're, putting together a PPM. That would be low dollar value. It doesn't bring the money in, but it sure gets ready to go out there and get the money. Maybe you're compiling a list of brokers to call for Monday morning. Maybe you're sending out a newsletter for your company. But it's something that you do that is on the way to making money. Does that make sense? So we got low or no value here. We've got low dollar value here. And I bet you guys know what's coming next. Yes, you already know that we're going to go above the middle line and go to high dollar value. And high dollar value is where you guys are doing things that actually make a massive opportunity for you to get money. Maybe you go out there and you put out an LOI. That would be high dollar value. Maybe you go and you talk to an investor that's got deep pockets and you want to bring them into a deal. That's high dollar value. Maybe you go have a conversation with a property management group where you're going to save $30,000, $40,000, $60,000 over the course of 2019 because you went and had a meeting. That's high dollar value. And that's where I want you guys to ask yourself, how much of that are you doing a week? Because most people, believe it or not, are doing things below that middle line. There's way too much low dollar value and way too much low or no value happening in my book. And once people come to me and we start taking a really solid look at where they're spending their time, their eyes go, holy smokes, I need to change some things up. But there's still one more level. And I want to introduce it to you as high lifetime value. Yes, high lifetime value. This is where you do things that give you a massive ROI for the rest of your life. Maybe you're reading a great real estate book. That's high lifetime value. Maybe you're a part of this summit with Dan Hanford. That is high lifetime value. Maybe you're going to listen to Kathy Fettke close it out. That's high lifetime value. Maybe you are reading Think and Grow Rich. Or maybe you've hired a high-performance real estate coach. That's high lifetime value, as is working out, because the more you take care of the body, the more you take care of the mind. That is spending time with your significant other. That's spending time with your kids. And that's traveling this beautiful blue planet. So if you would all please write this down and go to the left side of the triangle. the left side of the triangle, I want you to write down right now, what percentage of your time, are you spending in low or no value, how much time in low dollar value, how much time in high dollar value, and how much time in high lifetime value a week. And those percentages should add up to 100. And if you don't like the truth of that, my invitation to you is to go over to the right side of the triangle and write down where you'd like to move those numbers around. If you're spending way too much time below the line, that middle line, we call that the line, and you want to move more of your time to playing above the line, well, it comes from doing something with the other tasks that perhaps are going on there. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. Because again, who is ultimately in charge of this? We know it's you. And I hope that by me sharing this with you is a real wake-up call that if you really want to kick some ass this year, that you want to absolutely know what you're doing with your time. Thank you. So with that said, let's also go to number 6, which is honoring your strengths. And honoring your strengths is, are you doing the things that you're good at? I love the art and the thrill of finding the deal. I'm a real people person. I love going out there and, driving neighborhoods. I was in Dallas recently, 3 weeks ago. I was in Costa Rica, been in Australia, looking at some deals there. I love meeting brokers and, going out there and seeing the properties and all that stuff. Whereas other people are numbers people. They like to sit behind a computer with their calculator and their pen and underwrite deals. I can underwrite a deal, but not at the level that some of you can, and I don't apologize for it. I honor my strengths, and I get other people to support me with what their zone of genius is. Does that make sense? So ultimately, I want you to define, what are you currently working on? And, is there anything that you might want to check in with these 4 Ds on? Because the 4 Ds of real estate mean that you're either going to do something, or maybe you should delay doing it because you got something more important to do, like, green time, high time, or maybe you need to delegate it to someone else, or believe it or not, guys, there are things that you're currently doing that you probably need to dump. They don't belong, in your schedule or in your planner. So really honor your strengths. Let's go to the next one. And this is the last one, the big one, and that is take massive action. And taking massive action is absolutely the number one thing that you must do. And you want to do the things that will allow you to build momentum and make progress. And we don't wait to take massive action. Dan's been saying it all weekend. Other panelists have been saying it all weekend. And it's that ready, fire, aim approach. There's absolutely no need to line up every duck in a row before you go out there and drive a neighborhood, make a phone call, submit an LOI. So ultimately, I really want you to rate where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10 in all of these, but remember that you also have to measure your progress. And you want to course correct as you go, remembering this great Napoleon Hill quote, that there is no failure, there's only feedback. And that's something I believe in. So if you submit an LOI and it doesn't get accepted, you haven't failed. You just got feedback that something didn't work. Maybe it was on the landlord's side. Maybe it was on the broker's side. But don't give your power away, because it's like flipping over cards. The more you go out there and you absolutely take massive action, the faster you're going to grow your portfolio. So let's recap it. So number 1 is you must condition your mind daily. You must know your outcomes. You must build sound operational systems. You must absolutely grow your networks. You must become a master of your own time. You've got to honor your strengths and farm out the things that you don't want to do or you're not in the zone of genius of. And then ultimately take massive action. And with that said, by following the 7-step success formula, you know what? You can be, do, and have any lifestyle you want. And again, it's universal. So as you go through and you rate all of those things on a scale of 1 to 10, I want you to really ask yourself, which are the top 3 that I want to do something about immediately? Don't pick all 7. I don't want to overwhelm you. And as a Master Platinum High Performance Coach, we always talk about something called 3 to Thrive. And 3 to Thrive is, what are the 3 things that you can do to absolutely move yourself from here to here? And one of the primary questions you should be asking is, Am I making progress? Am I making progress on those three things? Because as you start to make progress on those, now you can start going back and looking at 4, 5, 6, 7. So I hope that makes sense. So the final thing I'll say, and I promise to reveal it in my presentation today, is the number one thing that I've seen has made Joe Fairless successful. And we use Joe as a model, not to beat on his chest, but I'm telling you, I'm super proud of the guy. And like I said, he's changing lives all over the planet with his passion for real estate. And the number one thing, that has really helped Joe be successful is really this: getting in front of people and creating a thought leadership platform. That is stepping up as a leader and having influence, positive influence over people. And Joe's got no ego. Whether people listen to him or not, he puts it out there because he believes in adding massive value. So ultimately, what are you going to do to follow suit? Because it doesn't have to be on that scale. But really, as you take all of the things I've talked about today, it really is what I believe, something that I call giving you the competitive edge. And so a quick recap. We went through the 6 most commonly heard statements that keep investors from exploding in real estate, and it all has to do with their belief system. We went through the 7-step success formula that will help you scale as a real estate investor. And finally, we helped you to transform your thinking and get the competitive edge in real estate. And as I wrap up here, I want to leave you with a final thought for the day. And this is one of my favorite quotes from Mr. Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' coach and mentor. And he said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." I'll say it again. Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better. And if you take the 7 things that I've just shared with you, I call them Trevor's truths, that's absolutely something that you're going to be able to get better with. The final thing I'll say is if you're ready to go to the next level and you're looking to work with a high-performance coach who's done over 20,000 coaching calls, who's Joe Fairless's coach, who also is a high-performance real estate investor buying properties, doing developments, doing wholesales, doing flips, doing multifamily, doing anything, I invite you to go to www.coachwithtrevor.com, where you can absolutely schedule a complimentary breakthrough session with me. It's something I'm offering Dan Hanford's tribe of like-minded investors. And obviously this is one-to-one coaching. This isn't some group coaching where we get on the line and there's, 500 other people there. So ultimately, if you want support in finding out what's working and what's not working, and you're looking for some, life that we can, put into you to help you start, going up the ladder, book a call, schedule a call with me. It's absolutely free of charge. And I guarantee that we'll give you some insight into what you need. We'll have a lot of fun. And at the end of that call, if you want to find out more about my coaching program or what the investment is, I'd be happy to share that with you. So Brandon, that's it for today. I'm going to stop my share and we can take some questions or get some feedback.
All right, Trevor, thank you so much. I know you've got a lot of background in coaching and mentoring. And I didn't realize that you coached Joe. You still are coaching Joe? Is that what you said?
I'm still coaching Joe. Joe's either crazy that he keeps me around or he finds value in it. In fact, he just signed up for another full year with me.
He must find value in it, obviously, we're all ROI people. So, and Danny too, currently.
I've been coaching Danny for years. I think in this summit alone, I've got, double-digit clients that I coach that are a part of this community. Julie Lamb, Holly Williams, Scott Bauer. I mean, the list goes on and on. Jason Yarusi. These are all rock stars that know that, the world is sped up so fast and they got so much coming at them personally and professionally that it's great to have, a sounding board, a mentor, a teacher, a trainer, a coach, a facilitator, but most of all, Brandon, an accountability partner. Mm-hmm. I'm the guy that makes them hold their feet to the fire and do what they say they're going to do. And, it's my passion. And just, to keep it real, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. In fact, I have 2 coaches that help me every week. Plus I have an accountability partner in Seattle that kicks my ass daily because I believe there's always another level.
Right. And I can definitely see the benefit in accountability, just really hey, look, what are your goals for this year? Well, it's X, Y, Z. And then, hey, what have you done, to facilitate those goals? What are you going to do tomorrow? And those different things like that. So definitely some benefit in having that. And there's value in all these things. We were talking here a little bit on the side about, people's perception of investing in programs like this. So we're spending money on conferences, and somebody whose mindset's not in this space, and just it's still in the W-2 mindset. They really see it as spending money, but it's not really viewed that way. It's an investment. It always is an investment because, like I said, we're all ROI, return on investment, and these great investors that you've mentioned that have coached from you, they are by definition investors, and they are investing money with you because they obviously see the benefit from that. So anybody that's had the benefit of listening this evening, definitely follow up with Trevor. He obviously adds value. Joe Fairless, I think one consistent thing that we have seen throughout the week is almost everybody has named Joe as some type of a mentor or podcast. And so, we can attribute a lot of that to you and coaching Joe and his success. So, we thank you for helping him, and we thank Joe for all he's done. And definitely thank you for the content you provided to us this evening. I know it's definitely been beneficial. I know it's a little bit tough on a Friday evening. We've kept everybody focused on the task at hand all day. It's been a long day too. So I appreciate you sticking in there here on a Friday night. Got any big Friday night plans? Take the wife out to dinner?
Believe it or not, I'm about to go, put in an LOI on a piece of property down under. I'm currently in Australia, and my wife and I are about to pull the trigger on a piece of real estate. And if we don't get it, there's an opportunity to do some business with these beautiful, people that we've met that have the SIP panels, the structurally, insulated panels that we're going to ship from Australia to Costa Rica. So yeah, we're going to do some business today and make some money. Nice.
Did you see the article? This is a little off topic, but the article about the Sambuca in Italy is selling villas for $1, with the exception that you spend. It was only like $17,500, at least $17,500 in renovations, but wow. You could buy them for $1 in this little wine villa. They still produce wine now. So if you're international, you're already traveling, stop in to. It's not where they make the drink, though. I did check that out. It's they make it a different place. But I like international investment terms. You find that stuff. But good luck on that. On the LOI. We were talking today. I've been talking to my property managers. I've been talking to brokers. We're in the best and final in a deal locally that we've been talking about today. We're underwriting another deal. So while we're doing all this, we're doing the same thing, conducting business and staying motivated. So thank you for helping us do that. Everybody, once again, be sure to check out Trevor at his website and sign up for his coaching program so you can he can help you reach your goals. And Trevor, thanks again and good luck.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Have a good one and keep up the great work.
All right. Thanks, sir.
Take care.
All right, everyone.